If a person wanted to become a master and figure out how to make themselves invisible, like what you showed the kingdom of, during Arthur, how does a person go about that if they wanted to practice that?
So I would say that if somebody wanted to make themselves invisible, they would concentrate on their own personal energy field in relationship to the world around them, and then energetically push themselves higher until they're outside of the frequency of that realm or kingdom or dimension is the word in his mind. So if
Oh,
you look at the energy that contains you as a sphere, and then you feel the energy of that sphere in relationship to the energy of the world around you, and
hmm.
then you push, the word is push in his mind, push
Okay.
yourself out or push the vibrational sphere of yourself higher. So if you feel within you that the energy, the energy is differentially higher, more gaseous, more less dense. My apologies. I'm working with the vocabulary he has. If you felt that that energetics around you and you moved it upwards, you moved it higher, you moved it into higher feeling states, states of higher intentionality, and then you push downwards upon that energy so that it's like you're popping upwards as if you're like a bubble floating higher into a higher dimensional frequency. And when you do that, when you push yourself higher, you would become invisible to the lower realms. So it's as if you're operating in a higher kingdom or a higher energetic. And thus you can move through those spaces unaware to those around you.
Oh, wow, that's so interesting. And if you were
So
going to
it's
work
like
on,
so it's like a popping up as if there's a ceiling above you and you popped up through the ceiling and that the ceiling has now become a floor, but it still has the same visual appeal of the realm that you were in. So a transitionary realm or a transitionary energy, that would be a higher dimensional experience, which is the time that you all are moving into where more and more are going to be having the experience of popping up in a vibrational nature to a different realm of experience.
is that what it will feel
It's
like
very
for us?
exciting. It's very exciting for this time you're in.
Oh, tell me about that. What makes it look exciting?
It's never existed like this. It's different than what has been before. It's a planetary transition on this timeline that you're on.
So it's never existed like this? What makes this different?
The whole planet is moving in this shift. Before, it's just been the individual or small groups of people. There is a culmination that has come to pass within the consciousness of the earth, a maturity to allow this to take place with the beings on the earth. And it seems like there are many that will be popping up, while there will still be those that are left not popped up.
What makes the distinction between the two? Why will some pop up and some not?
Their inner worlds, their perception of life and events and how they deal with things or how they perceive things. It seems like those who perceive higher ideals within them are on that transitionary path. Those that don't seek to pursue higher ideals or higher understandings or continue to ingest the negativity, the lower vibrations, to ignore higher aspirations for oneself, inner divinity, I guess, as you would say.
Well, it seems like an easy thing to do to um, just start believing or focusing on your inner divinity. Is it just that the other people don't have awareness of it?
Or a desire for it.
Interesting.
They are caught in materiality. And there seems to be a lot of distractions in your time. I'm being
Um,
shown devices. There's many devices in your time that draw attention away from the self.
like what?
You have screens that project
Right.
images.
Is this on purpose? Are we being distracted for a reason, or no?
Yes, control elements. There's control elements that work to keep people dumb, deaf, and blind to the reality of themselves.
And who exactly is behind the control methods?
There are human beings and others that have a interest in people staying unaware of their capabilities and their own inner power. There seems to be a whole network around around this planet that is working behind the shadows in cohesion with one another.
What do they benefit, or what do they get out of that?
Power and control.
So, if a lot of people do not pop up, so to speak, how does that give them more power and control?
They will maintain their power and control over them, whereas those that pop up liberate themselves.
Mm, okay. What is
It's through the
your,
it's through the it's through the energy of love, Sarah. So if you go to the core of what I'm speaking of, self-love, love for others, love for spirit or the beloved, love for the planet, love for the experience of life, and a desire to be better, do better, experience better, and have that reflected in the world around them. It all comes back to love, love of self, love of the other, love of one's neighbors, and care for that, compassion for that.
what is the best way to help the people that will not pop up?
To love them with compassion and to be the example in one's own life that can resonate outwards. If you can pierce the veil of their consciousness and help them elevate, great. But I would say to don't do that at the expense of injuring oneself. So when one experiences resistance or an attack to the ideas, to back off and allow them to be, and allow them to traverse their path, whatever that may be and wherever that takes them. But to do so lovingly and with compassion.
What is,
It's not for anyone to force that upon another. It is an act of free will choice. And if one can inject light where possible, can inject consciousness to help others elevate, and they feel called to do so. But to make sure that one is not trying to force it upon another. This is a planet of free will choice. And so that decision must be within oneself to self elevate,
I know
to take that inner journey.
there's no such thing as time, but from your standpoint, from where you are, when does it look like this will happen, that people will start popping up or staying down?
There seems to be an avalanche of this energy that is currently moving through the consciousness of the earth. And it seems that the same technology, the same screens that are being used to decrease consciousness are also being used alternately to elevate consciousness.
Oh, how?
The information.
Oh.
So the information is being driven through these screens, these visual images and the sounds coming from them that are providing new tools, new techniques, new elevations for people to explore. And they're learning as a result of that. Their mind is being expanded. And once their mind expands, their vibration shifts upwards. And then they begin their own inner journey of exploration. They're choosing to move into that exploration within themselves and studying some of the bodies of work that already exist from the authors, those who write during your time, those who have knowledge and share it freely, like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You write.
Mm-hmm.
You write words for people,
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Yes.
Like you share consciousness,
Mm-hmm.
like yourself. Those like yourself. That's beautiful.
Thank you for that. Is there any information that you wish for people to understand as they're seeking that would help them right now?
The path is within. So I would say for those on the path to focus inwardly and to not get caught up in the changing of the times that you are in. What is most important is the inner growth, the inner evolution of the self. The world will always express the times that you are in, which is often chaotic and distracting. But the path of growth is always going to be an inward process, whether that's in a self journey or a journey taken with others as part of a group or taken with a teacher, someone who is taking you through that path and process. It depends on the individual makeup of the individual as to how they take that path of progress, because there are difficulties that come with different paths, whether that's working with a teacher or self-exploration. One has to be aware of the information that they're taking in and making sure that the information is clean information and not distorted information, which sometimes or oftentimes there's a mixture of the two. You have distortions and then you have the truth of the information. And so one needs to be cognizant of distortions that exist down certain paths or even with certain teachers. The limitations of those teachers to check in with one's own feeling centers to see how what is being shared with them resonates and why or does not resonate and why. Is it simply that what is being taught to them comes up against one's own personal barriers or belief structure? Or is it that something that is being conveyed or brought through doesn't vibrationally match with the rest of the information that's being taught, or certain ways that, say, a teacher lives their life in comparison to the information that they're teaching, or where the limitations of their knowledge are? Just to be aware and cautious with that.